Courtesy of our hosts, Pivotal, tonight. My name is Luke Melia. Welcome to the March edition of Ember.js NYC. Is it okay to go? You need me to wait. Sure. We're going to do that again. All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Luke. Welcome to Ember.js NYC, March 2015 edition. It's great to see you all out here. We've got an awesome lineup tonight. We are also live streaming tonight, so hello to the folks at home. We have a lot of exciting stuff going on. So I'm going to do a few announcements, and then we're going to get into our talks for tonight. We're going to have 3 lightning talks. They are, I'll introduce each one as kind of as we go along. But if you want to peek, you can take a look at the meetup site. Some meetup business. The next event that we're doing is one of our, what we were previously calling Hacker Hours events. We're calling them, now calling them project nights. Same basic idea. Smaller group, hands-on, great opportunity to get help, give help, meet some more people in the community. So the next one that we're doing here is our, what we're calling add-on night. It's being hosted by Simple Reach. And Andre Milan is going to kind of kick things off, but the idea is that you're going to come to this project night with an add-on that you're interested in improving in some way. Doesn't have to be an add-on that you wrote. It could be an add-on that you would like to use, or it could be something that that you can't figure out how to use, or it could be something that you write or something that you're working on. So that's Monday night. It looks like we've got probably about 20 spots left there, so definitely RSVP and come on out. The next full meetup, like we're doing tonight, is happening on April 20, I believe it's the 23rd. Yep, it's April 23rd. We just put it up on Meetup for RSVP. Wow, there's 48 RSVPs already. That's awesome. I'm looking for speakers for that event. So if you're interested in giving a talk, please find me, or you can email me and we'll get you on the calendar. That is possible lightning talks or full talks. And I see I have a note to myself that Ray Tiley might be coming out to talk. So Ray, if you're watching this live streaming, let's make plans. So some other cool stuff going on within the Ember community. There is a new Slack Ember.js community group that has been growing really quickly, and there's been some great conversations going on. You can Slack into it at ember-community-slackin.herokuapp.com. So it looks like there's 185 people who have signed up so far, 38 people in there right at the moment. So that's pretty cool. Go ahead and check it out. I want to say thank you to our sponsors. First up is Pivotal Labs, who's our host tonight and who has been our host for the last over 2 years now. Pivotal has been fantastic, providing us with space, AV equipment, food, drink. So just a really awesome partner to the New York Ember community. For those of you who don't know, Pivotal does agile consulting, Rails, iOS, Java, probably other things besides that. I know a bunch of more DevOps stuff lately. So if you are a startup or a larger company that wants some help with a project, you should reach out to somebody here at Pivotal. A good person to reach out to is Micah Young, who I believe is micah@pivotallabs.com. Or if you're looking for a job where you can work with folks doing pair programming regularly, test-driven development, and really learn some good skills, you should definitely find Pivotal. Our other sponsors, I want to say thank you to our Simple Reach, who are hosting our next meetup. Hi, Simple Reach in the back. Hajan, Andre, I see you back there. And Movable Link, who hosted our last event and who has a cool video on their page now. Both Simple Reach and Movable Link have been awesome in hosting our Hacker Hours / project nights. And so they've been a great partner. Also, I would be remiss not to thank Yap Labs. And Yap, which is my company, who has been making it possible for me to do this stuff for a while. So we do Ember consulting and training, and we also have our own product where you can create your own mobile app. Very good for events if you need that kind of thing. So almost done with the announcements. A couple of exciting upcoming events in the Northeast area. The first one is not an Ember event, but I wanted to call it out because I'm helping to organize it. It's Gotham Ruby Conference, aka GoRuco. It's goruco.com. We just had our CFP close, and I've been starting to read proposals. We have a record number of proposals this year, and they are awesome. So I'm really excited about the lineup this year. It's going to be a one-day conference on Saturday, June 20th. And for those of you who haven't been before, we all go out on a boat ride around Manhattan afterwards, which is a blast. So you should definitely consider getting tickets when they go on sale on Monday. We have a limited number of tickets that go on sale on Monday that are kind of a premium ticket, and then a week later we open up for general ticket sales. So you'll be able to find details on the site. Continuing on, we're almost through with the announcements. Wicked Good Ember is the other conference that's coming up. It's the Tuesday right before GoRuco. It's a dedicated one-day, single-track Ember conference that's put on by our friends at Dockyard. Last year was the first year. It was awesome. This year, they are outdoing themselves. They have rented an island in Boston. I didn't know that there were islands in Boston, but there is one, and that's where the event's going to be. So you can check that out at wickedgoodember.com, and that is, as I said, courtesy of Dockyard. Now, Dockyard is doing a special thing with us tonight, and that's giving away one free ticket to Wicked Good Ember. So earlier, before some of you came in, my kids here, Kiara and Gemma, collected names in a hat here, and you're going to get a chance to win a ticket to the event. So at a break a little earlier, we're going to come around again before we do the drawing. And so if you want to win, just have a business card or a piece of paper with your name on it ready, drop it in the hat, and we'll do a drawing later on. Dockyard is doing this giveaway as a kind of sponsorship tonight, and they wanted me to share some news about an expansion in their offerings. In addition to doing Ember.js projects for companies, they're now also offering staff augmentation services. So if you have an existing team, but you want to augment it with some people who have a bunch of Ember experience, Dockyard can help you out. And anyone that makes a referral to Dockyard, so those of you who have friends who might need this, that results in a contract, will receive 5% of that referral, up to 10 grand. So that's a pretty generous offer. And you can reach out to Brian Cardarella at Dockyard if you want to introduce somebody to him. Okay, I think that I'm at the end of our announcements, and so I'm excited to get into our talks tonight. Before I introduce our first speaker, I just want to open up the floor to any announcements from you guys in the crowd. There could be other events going on that you want to let people know about, people who are hiring, people who are looking for work that want to make themselves known. Anybody? Going once. Oh, yes. So Tom Dale, who I saw sneak in the back over here, hi Tom, and his partner Yehuda are going to be in Philly. Is it Philly.js Ember? Ember Philly? What? I know. Ember Philly. I want to just pull up the meetup page while we're talking about it. So around the Philly Emerging Tech for the Enterprise Conference, which is also a great conference, there is a special event that Ember Philly is running with Tom and Yehuda. It's called Off the Shelf Productivity with Tom Dell and Yehuda Katz, and RSVPs are open. It's going to be at the Sheraton Society Hill Hotel. And Max Minkoff, who's giving one of our talks tonight and just waved, is the organizer. If you have any questions, Max and Brendan can answer those questions, or you could ask Tom yourself. So that looks awesome. Philly is not so far away, and especially not too far to get you an awesome event like that. Cool. Any other announcements? Community stuff?
Hi, we just wanted to announce that I'm from GoWatchIt.com, and we're an Ember Java Rails shop, and we're looking for Ember devs. So if you guys are interested, you can shoot me an email or just come up to me during the event. Michael at GoWatchIt.com. Cool. We're in the movie space. Really interesting. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, and if you're trying to figure out where you can watch a movie in all the various online services, go watch it. It's a cool product. Anybody else? Okay, cool. So Max, why don't you come up and plug in? Our first speaker I already mentioned is one of the organizers of Philadelphia's Ember.js group. And he reached out, said that, hey, he's going to be at the meetup and he would love to talk about some work that he's been doing recently with Ember and integrating with a SaaS product called Filepicker, which if you haven't seen is a pretty cool offering to let people get images into your app. And so I won't steal his thunder.
No, that's pretty much it. Is that too loud? Hello, everybody. Anybody use Filepicker now already? All right, so it's smattering. Great. Well, we're going to, reached out to Luke just a few days ago to offer this up, and he said, what do you want to call it? And this is the first thing that came to mind, space-age file picking and conversion. But I think you'll agree it's in the future. So a little bit about me. Luke's really spoiled all this, but this is our new Tomster as of less than a week ago. Yeah, we love him. I am, in addition to being one of the co-organizers of the Philly Ember meetup, I am the CTO of a company called E3. It's a startup in the education space. I've been working with Ember for just under 3 years now. And I'm here to admit that I really have an unhealthy love for Filepicker. And I think that you will too once you see what it does. So in its essence, this is what it does. It allows you to pick, not just pick files off of your computer, but from a variety of sources really easily. These are not even all of them, and of course I'm going to demo all of this. And not just pick them, but you can easily store them on S3, Azure, Rackspace, or Dropbox. And it has conversion built in too. Simple to convert your files. So it's pretty awesome, and I'll just show it to you first. So let's see, how do I switch over to that? No, wrong. There we go. Okay. But now I can't see it. All right. So this is hosted on GitHub pages, which means that it is just a static page. I used an Ember CLI add-on to put it up on GitHub pages just today. The code is available on repo on GitHub. So this is all Ember, and I click this button, and this opens up a file picker window. And with the services that I have chosen to be in there. And so, let's see. Right, so for example, Google image search. So let's, well, that's not right. Did I misspell it?
That's the right spelling.
What?
You might have a child safe block on.
That sounds about right. Don't you know I tried that about 6 times and got all kinds of good possibilities. All right, well, let's do this one first instead. Webcam. So just using the camera on my laptop, that easily took a picture, put it up on their service, and there are a few things going on here. So not just that it pulled up the picture and here's the URL to the picture that it sent back to me. I have now 2 different versions that I've created. One little thumbnail, the other one this larger one with a little watermark that I told it to put on there. I was able to get the size and the name and the width and height and all of that quickly, and I'll show you how that works. Let's try just adding another. Should we try it one more time? I am. Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten this. So, I don't know. All right, how about? There we go. All right. And I can't really tell which ones are good, so. So that easily, and choose the other one. I can. Yeah, that's the original one stored through Filepicker. So let's look at how that works. So a couple of folks set up an add-on for this. I think they added it about 5 days ago, and you can tell a little bit. It's a little clunky, but I'm sure it'll get better. So you just need to install the Ember CLI Filepicker add-on. And to do what I'll show you, that getting the some of the additional statistics, you need to add the Filepicker object into your predef in your JS hint RC. It's a global variable, and that gives you access to the actual Filepicker code, not through their add-on. And once you've done that, well, if you want to pick, then you just add this guy to your template. Ember-Filepicker with these various options. Right now, you have to understand that putting that in your template opens up the Filepicker window immediately. So you actually have to have some code around it to put a button in to say, okay, only add it to the template, only show it, with a variable set or however you want to do it. So you set the options that you want in the controller that you're using and these various actions, file selected, on close, and on error. And I'll show you what those look like. So for the options, in this case, I have that I want it to be an image. And these are the services that I want to use to show up there. But you can specify whichever ones you want. And then here is a slightly simplified version of the file selected action that I have on the controller. So this gets called back once you've selected a file, and that window closes. And so here is where I am creating this Ink Filepicker image record. This is all my code. That's a model that I set up. And then I'm calling, and I'll show you this code in a second. It's very simple. Image received with this ink blob. That's what came in, got returned from Filepicker with the information about the file. Send it over to create that record and add it to the array on this controller. Then the second thing that I do, and this is why I needed that Filepicker object, was so that I could run stat on that. And that allowed me to ask for the width and the height on the image. And so once that returned, then I call size received on that. So there are lots of options to choose from when you call Filepicker stat. You just tell it which ones you want, and you get all of these things back very, very quickly. Here, so just for completion, when the image is received on the object here, that ink blob is just an object with a few properties, and similarly, once that size is received from Ember stat, I set that on the object, and just put it into the array and display it as you saw. But wait, there's more. So the picking, I think, is really pretty fabulous. Just that alone is, I think, is awesome. I love it for that. But you can also do conversion, as I mentioned, so, and other manipulation. So for images, there are all kinds of things, adding filters and format conversions and resizing, face detection, I haven't played with that yet, watermarking, as you saw, other things. Video, transcoding, watermarking, etc., grabbing thumbnails out of the video, and then apparently it's in private beta to convert Office documents. But very easily, and here's how it works. All you do, you get that Filepicker URL back from Filepicker where to access your file. You tack /convert onto the file and then give it whatever parameters you want to adjust the file. So this is, I think, pretty marvelous in Ember because then you can set up a property. So here's an example of what I did to set up that thumbnail that you saw. So I just, once the image URL shows up on the model, then I can create this thumb image URL just by tacking on these parameters, as you see, just /convert, and then turning those parameters into URL parameters. And that gives me this new URL, and once I call Filepicker with that, then I get that little thumbnail image back that easily. Same thing with the watermarking or any other conversion. And then a little other coolness. You can specify how you want the file stored, the path that it's on, which bucket it's going to go on. You can post the converted files to storage. So not just tacking on those conversion parameters, but also you can tell Filepicker, put this on my S3 bucket, converted. And so sort of the theme between Brendan and my talks is that you don't really need your own server anymore. He'll be talking about the database, of course, but just to have your files and converted, they do it all for you. Webhooks when your videos converted to let you know. It's very simple to use with a CDN. So that's about it. A minute for questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Questions for Max? I have a question for you, Max.
Okay.
I noticed there was some sort of like heavy-handed branding of Filepicker and some of that UI. What's the situation in terms of like, they have a paid product, I assume?
Right. Yeah, I think the paid product starts at $49 a month, and then you can brand it, style it, however you want. So that's just the free version.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Other questions? All right, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, no.
Oh, sorry.
Could we just see the models that you created, that you had those custom methods for?
The model?
Yeah, the model for the image picker.
Sure. Let's see. Oh. You know what? I'm going to switch to. No, I won't bother with that.
You can turn
Like
Flux off, that'll help also.
Yeah, but accessing it is proving to be difficult. This one, right? So, like, what do you want to see about it? So this is what you wanted to see? Yeah, so just a few methods for receiving the data. Right, I could have just set that right in the file selected method, and then just a few, they're a little bit more complex than what I showed you in the presentation, but just a few properties. And I just have a few little helper methods with the adding width and height. And, yeah.
Are there any DS adders in this model?
No, because I'm not persisting it at all.
Okay, got it. But if you did want to save this to a backend,
Yeah.
then you would have some fields on there and be able to save it through your adapter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Good.
All
Any
right,
other questions? Awesome. Thank you, Max.
Okay,
Appreciate
you bet.
it.
Thank you.
All right. So our next speaker is going to keep up the chain of Ember add-ons for image-related stuff. And I had the benefit of, through our consulting work, of getting to work with our next speaker as she was just learning Ember, and she's come an incredible way, climbed the Ember learning curve really well. And So I'm excited to welcome to the stage Danielle Adams. Do you want to use this or that kind of, it's up to you.
I'm gonna use the microphone. Okay. Oops. Hey guys. Okay. Like Luke said, my name's Danielle. I'm an engineer at an ad tech company called Plife. I've been using Ember about 6 months now. So yeah, basically, yeah, I'm just going to be talking about the image editing library, Aviary, which is I believe it's just been acquired by Adobe and whatnot. So it's really cool. So basically, we had this problem. We have users that are using our interface. We wanted them to be able to, yes? Oh, yeah, I didn't even notice. Sorry about that. Hold on a sec. Good call. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, so basically, we wanted our users to be able to edit their images straight from our platform. We have like a CMS platform. And so we have them like upload the images, and so basically how would we have them be editing their images straight from the platform without having to use Photoshop or, you know, whatever. So the solution was basically creating this or connecting the API for Aviary. And so what we actually did is we decided that we were going to build a component, which is basically an image edit on the, so I can show you my, let's see. There we go. Okay, so what we actually, oops. So what we actually built here is we created a component which is available on our CMS platform. And so what it actually does is it connects through the Aviary API, and it launches their Feather application, which is basically an image editing modal. So creates that. You can edit the image, and so you can see here, maybe like they don't want this dog in the background. We crop it. We apply. We can do some, let's see, we can add sharpness since it's kind of blurry. Do some editing here. So, and then once we save it, so now the image back here has now been edited. So basically, yeah, so we created this component to do this. And so what we wanted to do was extract it actually from the one platform we were using it for, so we could use it across a couple platforms. So we decided to create the Ember add-on. So initially what we did is we kind of went straight to work, and we were, you know, a little add-on happy, and we were trying to pull all these features in that we wanted the add-on to do, because we just had a very specific feature that we wanted to implement into the first part of this component. That didn't really work. We just found that it wasn't adding up to what we wanted it to. And yeah, and so what we actually ended up doing was building out this very easy functionality for this tiny component. As you saw, the little icon is actually the component, and it just basically, you just add it into the template, and it's just a little image, and it launches the Feather application, which is Aviary's editing modal. And then, so whether you actually have your environment set up, or in this case, in the demo, I used ember-modal-dialog, which basically just sets up the API key in an environment file, and then it makes it available to the interface. Yeah, and then we extracted it, and we created an add-on, which is now on NPM. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Questions for Danielle?
Yes.
One really quick one. Is Aviary's UI responsive for mobile?
That's a good. He asked if Aviary's API is responsive for mobile. And so basically, I know that we haven't tested it on mobile yet, but what they have is they have a few like very high level customizations. So you could do like light and dark. But then they also have something that you can go a little bit deeper, and you can actually override all of their CSS. So you can basically I guess you would just send it. No. You would do it on your own application. Yeah. So you would just override any of the styles in the. So you could like remove shadows, make things bigger, probably add like some different types of colors and stuff, and then so you could probably add some responsiveness to that in that way. So.
Cool. Other questions for Danielle?
Yes.
What data are you actually grabbing from that Feather application and storing on your backend?
So it actually, what it does is it's sending back a URL that they've actually, not a URL, yeah, they're sending back a hosted image, which is the URL. So in this case here, what I've done is I was just replacing the image source in my demo, but for instance, in the application that Plife uses, what we've done is, we're using Ember data and we have like these image file models. And so what we've done there is we're actually just swapping out the URL that we've created, and then we're swapping it out with the one that Aviary sends us back. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Great
Thanks,
job.
Danielle.
So that was Danielle's first professional software development presentation. So, so as you noticed, we're kind of add-on happy on our lightning talks tonight. For good reason. The add-on ecosystem in Ember is awesome. I just checked ember-addons.com. We're at 789 add-ons now, which is crazy. And there's some really cool stuff coming out there. And our next speaker is going to tell you about one that I think is very cool and super useful. In fact, if you've been using Ember for a long time, you probably have been frustrated with modals, using modals in your app. I think our next speaker is going to show you something that's going to put a smile on your face. So I'm really happy to introduce actually my new colleague at Yap, Chris Lepresto.
All right. Thank you, Luke. Okay, so everyone loves modals, right? Especially the interrupty kind. We decided, well, I'll give you a little bit of a story, but first of all, like Luke said, I'm wearing this Yap shirt because I'm now doing Yap things. Prior to that, I worked with people like Danielle at Plife, and you can tweet me at Chris Lepresto. So this add-on, let me tell you sort of why we got in here. So Yap, for those of you who don't know, lets you build and publish mobile applications using a web tool, and then it lives on iOS and Android within our Yap app. And so we have a kind of cool and complicated website, has a few different pieces that let you create, edit, preview, and manage all of those apps. That is implemented as a set of Ember applications. They're each in their own right pretty nifty. So we decided, though, that we wanted to create a site tour to explain some of the upgrade-worthy features for Yap Plus. This is where you pay us more money and you get more things. So the tour is presented within several of our Ember apps. So we kind of thought, okay, great, add-on, put it in a repository, then we can use it in the different places, and that'll be great. The add-on has templates. We said, okay, well, we have a few different reasons we want to upgrade to the latest Ember CLI, Ember Canary, a few different things. This is going to be great. And what happened next might not surprise you. So we had modals in many different places, and we had rendered them into outlets different ways, and then we were disconnecting those outlets, and then in the latest version of Ember, disconnect outlet wasn't really disconnecting quite as readily as it had been. So we kind of took the opportunity to say, well, we want to make a few other changes. We've been doing some thinking about morphs and HTML bars and we had already done some new modals a different way, and we said, let's just go ahead, bite the bullet, and make an add-on and convert all of our modals to this new, better way. Because everyone knows a few things about modals. Their presentation is often, or should be, kind of consistent across your applications. And while you have user interactions in many different parts where you might touch something, click something, and have the modal appear. The actual markup that's necessary to make that happen, or to put the modal, is not, it does not in any way need to be coupled to the, or really should it be coupled to the markup related to whatever view or template you may have just been in. So here comes our add-on. Let's show it to you in action here. We have a few different, so this is the dummy app that we're running in the add-on, and we have a few different styles. This was a lot of work that we had already done, and we just packaged it into the add-on. So when I click do it, we get a modal. That's great. I'll close it. Lots of times you want overlays, so here's one with an overlay. If I hit anywhere, I can click anywhere on the overlay and it'll go away. You might not want modals to look this way, so maybe you want them to look this way. And finally, it's not always the case that you want something to just take over everything. It might actually be, like I said in the beginning, something in a site tour where you want to maintain some sort of context. Say I touched this and this thing popped up to explain it. And you might want to put it on the right, the bottom, who knows. Okay, so let's kind of dig in a little bit and show you what we did. We created an add-on with an initializer that, oh, sorry, sure. I thought I had done that. There you go. So all we really need to take a look at here in this initializer is that we are creating a div. It's going to be the container for all modals, and we're going to append that to the root element of the app. That lets us do, and we're going to inject the reference to that selector into one of the components that is in this add-on. So then when we go into component territory, we can say, how about instead of just rendering where you are in context, related to the context of whatever view that is, or template is including this component, the render method appends a morph to that container element. And then when it clears, destroys the morph. So this lets us decouple the presentation, the actual DOM of the modals themselves from whatever view or template that we had been in. And that lets us do a lot of different things in a consistent and simple fashion. We have sort of one set of rules, selectors to get at and structure and style those modals regardless of what put that modal up. And that lets us ideally be pretty well behaved. So if we look in the actual modal dialog template itself, this is all published as of today, so we won't dig too deeply into the different component source, but if you go to Yap Labs ember-modal-dialog, and we'll post the link, you'll be able to dig into what each one of these components does. But we have an overlay component and a positioned container, and then we yield, and that's how your content kind of gets in. And I should have actually shown you how we use it. Oh yeah, that's in right where you were. So if you go to the dummy app in this add-on, you'll see a few different samples we used to create this. So you'll see that there's no big surprise here. You just, yeah, sure. You just include the component, and this will happen. So there's a lot of different things that kind of come out of this. So we can just if we can just present them as we are. If you want to have your modal tied to a specific route, you can just drop that component into the template for that route, and boom, there you have it. We have a few different configurable properties that you kind of saw in action in the dummy app, and this is what they are. And Luke was kind of considering this technique to be sort of wormhole-ish in nature, because we have something over here that's rendering over there. The modal retains its position in the Ember view hierarchy, but it's actually decoupled as far as the DOM is concerned. So the last thing that I would like to kind of dig into is how we're testing this. So we decided, create acceptance tests, and the acceptance tests run through automatically everything that I just showed you by clicking around, and opens and closes each one of those dialogues. And we thought, great, this is working well. And decided to test, because we had upgraded everything to Canary. I said, all right, let's see if this works on Ember 1.10. And the answer was it didn't, because we had used a bound attribute in one of the component templates. So the way that I found that out, though, is pretty neat. I don't know if any of you have seen Katie Gengler's Ember try yet, but I went ahead and, let's see, created 2 scenarios here, one for 1.11.0 beta 5 and one for Ember 1.10.0. And at first it died. I went in and switched to the old school but current bind adder syntax, and then we were in business. So if we actually go to Travis, you'll see there, it does the Bower acrobatics, but at the end it kind of shows us that now we're passing on both Canary and Ember. So definitely check out that project if you haven't yet. So that's really about it. We have a sort of simple way to present modals in their own location in the DOM. We took a first pass at including styles that were sensible for defaults, but if you include them in your Sass, then you'll get them. If you don't, you can use your own. The README does a reasonable job of explaining the structure of what we set up so far, but obviously pull requests are welcome. This is published as of today, so there's plenty of room for improvement and extension. So yeah, ember-modal-dialog, Yap Labs.
Awesome questions.
So I think this will be based on the work that Stefan demonstrated the last time here.
Yeah, so we've taken that proof of concept and wrapped it up into a nice package with examples and docs and stuff. Yeah, and one thing that is mentioned in the docs that we didn't show here that's really cool is if you want like a routable plugin, so a routable modal, so something with its own URL, you create a route, you drop modal-dialog component into that template with its content. When you transition to the route, the modal appears. When you leave the route, the modal disappears. It's just like so nice. Other questions for Chris?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me? So this removes the need for a named outlet, a modal outlet in your application template. Is that right?
Yeah, if you just include the component, there you go. So it's really as simple as that.
So will there be any examples in the Ember docs of a named outlet anymore? After we kill that?
I mean, maybe for a sidebar or something like that, but yeah, pretty cool. So, yeah, so try it out. Tell us what you think. Thank you, Chris.
All right, sure. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to take a little break before the next talk, and now is your chance to, if you haven't entered the contest to win a free ticket to Wicked Good Ember, find Kiara and Gemma. And now Kiara also has free Ember grep stickers that she's giving out from the Ember grep folks were kind enough to share with us while I was out at EmberConf. So just why don't you raise your hand to get their attention, and they'll come around and be looking for raised hands. Kiara and Gemma have been learning JavaScript recently. They haven't done much Ember yet, but that's in the future. In the back over there, that funny looking guy. Everything okay, Kiara? Oh, somebody needs paper.
1, 2.
We're good. Okay, everybody. Thank you for that pause. Our next speaker has been around the New York Ember community for a while, helping out in various capacities, and has been helping more recently to organize the Ember Philly meetup. There are projectiles occurring.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, ma'am. That was not intended for you.
So
nice catch.
I am happy to introduce to you.
Oh my God.
The person who's beating people in the head with.
I'm now not stopping doing that. I'm
yellow
sorry. I'm
headbands.
not going anywhere near her. I'm going to. Yes. It's like a music show. Enjoy.
My friend.
Enjoy you. There's more. Don't worry. More.
Brendan O'Hara.
Hello. How's everybody doing? So I'm here to talk to you about Ember.js and Firebase, and almost more importantly, Firebase hosting. Firebase hosting basically allows you to have no server whatsoever for your app. So, well, there actually is a server. You just don't control it. Oh, hold on. Test slide. Okay, that works. Okay, Ember.js, Firebase hosting. Okay, someone doesn't like my use of Comic Sans, so I'm going to Helvetica. Is everybody okay with Helvetica? Okay, there we go. All right, so Helvetica it is. So I also sort of subtitle this, How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Client. Because really, as an Ember.js developer, we all want to do our work in Ember.js. We want to do work on the client. We don't want to worry about APIs and does this endpoint give us the right data? Are we serializing correctly? I'm going to get rid of that completely. So I'm Brendan O'Hara. I do not have any children. I'm a software guy. Like Luke said, Max said, I'm from Philadelphia originally, so I help Max with the meetup when I go down there. I'm also a product guy. Used to be a CTO of a company in Europe, a SaaS startup for gyms. Business guy. Hello? Oh, no, sorry, I thought I dropped out. I'm a married guy and a dog guy. So I'm from Philadelphia via Berlin, Germany, Sofia, Bulgaria, Waterford, Ireland, London, England, and Port-au-Prince, Haiti. It's a long story. Enough about me. Okay, so this is 30 minutes max. Won't be that long. 100 slides. You can see we're going pretty fast, so we're going to get there. There's no reason to panic. We'll likely finish early, and we have plenty of time for questions. And if you want to walk through code, we can. Though I think looking at things in Sublime text on a giant screen isn't always that helpful, but that's me. And maybe I'll wrap afterwards. So let's get started. But before we start, I need some form of tacit consent regarding the basic premise of my presentation to you. So a roommate agreement of a sort. Here are some of the things we need to agree to. You're a front-end developer. You're an Ember.js developer. Maybe you're a product manager or even a designer. You like building applications that people can use and get real value from, but you're not building the next Facebook. Because when you talk about something where you're not going to have a server, people always talk, the first thing is, oh, I want to have total control, I want to scale, we're building the next Facebook. You're not. No one's building the next Facebook. You're not building the next Twitter. You're not building the next Instagram. Except for one person here, you're not even building the next Bustle. In fact, Bustle's not even building the next Bustle. They're just building Bustle. There's a difference. Look it up. There's a quote from John Locke. Sorry, that's the wrong John Locke. There it is. All wealth is the product of labor. And what I'm really trying to focus on here is that what you develop, how you develop it is your labor, your wealth, the material, emotional, spiritual wealth you get from that is just a product of what you're doing. So I will take your stunned silence to mean tacit approval, and the agreement is complete. So what am I here to talk to you about? It was Ember.js and Firebase, but we're going to go in a slightly different direction, just for a short period. Innovation and commoditization. I know, you're like, what are you talking about, Tweaky? Sorry, this is a weird Gary Coleman on Buck Rogers reference. You're all too young. It's okay, I just need to put that 50,000 pounds I spent on my MBA to good use. So commoditization is the process where today's innovation becomes tomorrow's cost of doing business. You can think about lots and lots of industries throughout the years where this happens. Electricity, well, certainly you didn't have electrification everywhere, you do now. Telephones, internet. Hi. You can still hear me? Okay, sorry. So let's see that in a cool diagram. It's actually not that cool. So basically, you see in the diagram, commoditization is moving to your right, innovation's more centered on the left. And you see sort of the curve of adoption that sort of maps through these. You have new ideas, things are building, people are building things that are totally new, no one has done before. Eventually, people get an idea of what they want out of them, they're custom built. Then things, as they become adopted more, they become products. Eventually, they become a service. Christ. Sorry. Help me. Hello. Yes. Hello? Yes, okay. Eventually, but can everyone hear me? Yes. Eventually, they become a service, and some things even become utilities. I mean, if you think about power, even internet, almost, telephone service. It's not nap time, so wake up, anyone. So basically, all ideas start out bleeding edge. They're custom built, adoption increases, basically what I just said a second ago. So this is basically the curve that lots and lots of products, lots of industries go through. So let's map this to something that we know a little bit better. So if we think about the types of applications that we build or have built over the years, currently you see a lot of real-time apps, and that's one of the things Firebase pushes, real-time for all the things. Web and mobile SPAs are sort of all the rage now. That's, as Ember developers, what we're doing. Server-side applications, if you've ever built things in JSP, Ruby, any of those things, you've built those. Server APIs and database and file storage. I mean, so they're just common things that we've all used. And if you think about, as Ember developers, we really want to be focused on the bottom left of this. We really want to be focused on building web and mobile SPAs, but we'd like them to be real time. Sometimes that's actually quite troublesome. Getting sockets working in Ember is certainly a lot tougher on your own than it is with Firebase. And Firebase basically has commoditized the server API and database space and really gives you the ability to utilize what they've built, their innovation, as a commodity, and to simply pay for what you need. And Firebase hosting allows you to do this without actually having to host, not have a CDN, not do any of that stuff. And basically, what I take out of it is that this allows you to focus on innovating in the application space of whatever application you're trying to build. So that is the end of innovation and commoditization. Back to Ember.js and Firebase. So here's what we're trying to do. About 10 days ago, I started putting together ideas about what I would want to demo, sort of what I would want to build. Some of this came, I've been doing contract work for about 9 months at McGraw-Hill. Some of this came out of hackathon that they had there, where they had an idea of software that would allow them to pair, talk online, launch Hangouts, to be able to pair on GitHub issues. So that's what we're starting to build. So I wanted to style it with material design. If you were at EmberConf, you might have seen fantastic demo on Liquidfire, physical design, from Edward Faulkner, and he talked about Ember paper there, and it's quite good. We can do login and user management with Firebase hosting. That allows us to have sort of complete control of that part of the application without touching the server, other than configuring it. Full-featured chat rooms, not like the simplified chat that you see in a lot of demos where it says, okay, enter your name here, enter your message here, hit submit. All that's basically doing is telling you that it can save things, because it doesn't know who you are, it doesn't know what conversations. You can't log in. You can't log in later and see your past conversations. It's not like the chat application that we're expecting. So I want the one that we're expecting. I want custom avatars, so I want people to be able to upload images. But again, I don't have a server, so I need a way to do that. So Max helped me do that with Filepicker. And eventually I'd like to have GitHub integration and Google Hangout integration, but none of that stuff is implemented yet. So not quite so fast. Before we can go jump into Ember code, we have to figure out how we're going to configure these things. And I'm not going to go into signing up for an account, but once you do sign up for an account in Firebase, you log in, click to manage your app. There are NoSQL style data drill downs, which allows you to see all of the data that's stored in your app in real time. If you change something, it will immediately be changed in every app that's hitting your Firebase database instantly. Editing that data is easy. As I said, it instantly propagates to everyone who's using it. You can configure security rules. This is kind of new, and I do not have quite a hang of it yet, and neither do some of the guys from Firebase. So I'm going to probably have some blog posts about this to make this a little bit easier for people to understand. Additionally, you can configure some validations, some of the type of validations that you would normally do purely on the client side, you can do in a way that allows the Firebase backend to know exactly what data should come in, who could do it, etc. One of the things that isn't implemented now, but for this type of application would be sort of critical, is mapping presence. And basically that is who is online now. And that's actually pretty easy to do in Firebase. I haven't implemented it yet because it's actually all callback driven, and to wrap some of that stuff in promises as we log in and log people out. If you're building an app, you can mock against Firebase, so you can actually see what type of responses your Firebase is going to give you. I think that's a nice thing, especially for people who are crazy test-driven developers. Hassan? They want to test everything all the time, no matter what. You can, and that's actually quite convenient. They have some basic analytics there that just tell you sort of how many people have been on and how much you're paying for in bandwidth. One of the really nice things, it's quite easy to do username and password and third-party authentication. And Matthew Beal, one of the Tory guys, someone has written a add-on that allows you to sort of integrate Tory authentication with all of these different types of authentication, which is actually a really, really fabulous way to do it. You can manage deployments, and you can even revert deployments. So you have a similar level of control that you would if you were hosting your own Node or Ruby server. Certainly not the same level, but getting there. And it's easy as pie. Anybody can do it. Yeah, if I can do it, you can do it. So let's get ready to Ember. So if you're playing along at home, or you have your computer out and you're going to build this entire app in the next 5 minutes, this is basically what you would do to start out. You're obviously going to make sure that you have Ember CLI installed. You're going to install the add-on for Ember Fire, the add-on for Ember Paper, which is where we're going to get some of our design. Broccoli SAS, Ember Paper requires that. And Bower install Filepicker. I did not use the same add-on that Max did, but I certainly would have had I known it existed, which I did not. Okay. Spock is angry because it's taken so long to get to the Ember code, but here we are. Okay, so one of the first things we need to do is we need to figure out whatever the name is of our Firebase instance and the Filepicker API key. We have to add them to our config environment files so that they can be made available in the rest of the app. This is actually much more difficult even than normal Ember CLI apps because you are pulling content from a lot of different places. So setting up your content security policy is problematic, but very important to do. Otherwise, you're going to have, 60 to 100 deprecation or warnings on every page load. So during in-app.js, you have to set the Filepicker key. I assume that is no longer necessary in the add-on, but the way I used it with the Bower install, it was. And you have to set up your Firebase adapter, importing the environment from config, and your sort of default Firebase serializer. This basically sets up Firebase through Ember data to act like 100% WebSockets. You can pull in data that is a live array, that when data is updated in Firebase, it will be concurrently updated. Or you can pull them in and have them. Is my sound going on and off every second? I will just talk incredibly loud. No, sorry. Okay, so we're going to set up the routes we need. So this is actually not that complicated, an app. A little bit of work, but not that complicated. We just have a sign-in and a register, very simple. Routes at the top level. We have a my route, which is basically our authenticated route where you have to be logged in. And then we have a chat resource, and under that a room route. We also have a profile route. The profile route under my allows you to use Filepicker to upload your custom avatar. Now we're going to set up our message room model, and this basically just has it looks like we're cut off a little at the top, the name, an array of messages, an array of people that are in the room, and whether or not it's a private room or not, whether it's just for you and one other person, or whether it's a public group room. Our message model, which basically has a sender, which is a user object, a body, which is just the textual representation of the message, the room that the message is being sent in, and the date that it's being sent at. The user model is also incredibly simple. This is not the user model that Firebase uses to authenticate you. That is a separate user model, but this is not exposed in the Ember app, so it is totally secure. It only allows access into the app. And this just, first name, last name, and a link to the profile image, which contains the data about the image that you've uploaded via Filepicker. So we're going to set up a side nav, which is basically going to show the conversations we currently have and people that are available to have conversations. And our chat UI, which is basically just a list of all the chats we have, list of all the messages in the particular room, and a form at the bottom to add a new message to that room. Just going to jump quickly to deployment. Deploying using Firebase tools is incredibly easy once you've set everything up. You only have to Firebase init the first time you set it up, and you can do that inside your app, not in your app folder, but in the folder that your app lives in. And then you just build Ember build prod and Firebase deploy, and within 30 seconds, it is available on your unpaid Firebase app.com domain, or if you have a paid account, which is like $50, your custom domain as well. Whoa, that was not what I wanted to do. Okay, let's take a look at this. So the application is called Pairs, pai.rs. You can log in on your, you can go to pai.rs /register, register for an account, and start chatting with me right now. I really need to make this bigger. Okay, so I'm logged in. I'm talking to Pam Pamerson, which is Hassan over there. Whoa. There are a few bugs. Don't worry, don't worry. Let's see if... Yo, Tom. So, Ember sucks. That is true. That is true. There's a couple visual things that we had to actually revert to a previous version about 10 minutes before the presentation, which is always good luck. Don't let anyone tell you any different. But let's see. It all says Brendan O'Hara, but oh Lord, now I have to log in again. Okay, now it thinks everyone is Brendan O'Hara, which is bad. Except for Danielle Adams from Plife. It knows who she is, which is good. And now there's 10,000 more of you. Okay, so there seems to be a little thing where it's not giving us exactly the right names on the side, but that's fine. Currently, the implementation for message rooms allows for it to have just 2 people or lots and lots of people. If it's lots and lots of people, it has a name. If it's only 2 people, it basically says, it shows the name for you, whoever's logged in, that isn't you, and it seems to have a slight bug there. So, whoa, I have a lot of chats. It seems to be working. I am Prince. Please send money now. Oh, that is good. That is good. Okay, let's see if there's anyone else who I can actually tell who they are. No, it's all me. Everyone is me. That's making it really easy. Thank you, everyone. Okay. You heard I like Pam. Now, this is Pam Pamerson. This is Hassan. Okay. So, that is basically it. If you go to your profile, you can click to open up Filepicker and add your own custom image, which is what our friend Max was talking about earlier, which is really a fantastic addition to this. I'm going to end full screen, if that is possible. End full screen. Exit full screen. Okay, there we go. Now, back to the lovely goodness that is this. Okay. So, that was the demo for Pairs. It's a pretty simple chat app. It took probably about 30 hours to do all that, but for 30 hours, it's pretty amazing, I think. A tremendous amount of ability to take this, do something bigger with it, take this, add on whatever additional things you want, and have a full nice chat feature, have this nice material design as well. A quote from Thomas Friedman. There's one thing that has not and cannot ever be commoditized, and that is imagination. Basically what I was trying to talk about in some of these things earlier was that as Ember developers, we can do fantastic stuff in Ember. I feel like a lot of times we spend way too much of our time worrying about APIs, worrying about how MySQL is serializing special characters, something we've had some issues with. If you don't have to worry about that, and you can spend all of your time in Ember, you can do some pretty amazing stuff. Or as Omar would say, all in the game, yo. Okay, so where do we go from here? This is actually a street I used to live in Germany. So everything you saw, everything about the app is up on GitHub. You can, including the information from Firebase, so you can clone this and Ember.js and start running it and totally destroy all the data that is in there. That is fun. There's also a link there to Firebase hosting, which is, I think, fantastic, but I'm lazy and I like to write client-side code. Also a link to Miguel Cobain's Ember paper, which is basically how it was styled. It is totally not complete, but an unbelievable start for a really nice material design implementation that is really Ember-friendly. Ed Faulkner is going to be doing some stuff to integrate Liquid Fire in with that, which I think is going to be totally amazing. And I would really love help with this app. The guys from Firebase and Emberfire are incredibly excited about using this app as one to show off what Emberfire can do. And so if you're interested, tests, and PRs are wanted. Sincere thanks to Russell Jones, code officer, if you know him, a good friend of mine. Tim Stirat from Google Firebase, and my heterosexual life mate, Max Minkoff. And of course, whoever made these GIFs, because I stole them all from Google Image Search. And I'm too lazy a presenter to do that thing at the bottom where it tells you where on Flickr I stole it from. I'm sorry. So, okay, one more thought. Who would you be? As a developer, are you Leela? Are you the lawful good, test-driven developer who writes tests before everything? All they care about? Are you the chaotic, evil forms developer who passes strings from text fields directly into his SQL database, actually encouraging SQL injection? Who would you be? It's actually a trick question. Be Zoidberg. Always be Zoidberg. Thank you.
All right, any questions for Brendan?
Come on. Somebody. The Australian in the back. Your mom. Your mom. I've slobbered all over this microphone, whoever uses this app.
Liverpool's better than Chelsea.
No way, brother.
Is there anything you have to watch out
6
for?
points and 1 game in hand. Liverpool's not in the top 5, sorry.
I actually don't follow it. Is there anything you have to watch out for in the Ember side when you do a deployment rollback?
I don't know. We just did our first deployment rollback of this app that we are still not finished developing about an hour and a half ago from this actual room. But basically, if you do a deployment rollback from, we did the deployment rollback through GitHub. We basically just pulled down based on the SHA and pushed it back up. If you would do one from Firebase itself, the one thing I would say is once you revert, you cannot like unrevert back to whatever the most recent one was. So if you do it accidentally, it will prompt you to make sure you want to do that. But if you do it, you are stuck with it and now have to do another Firebase deploy. Luckily, Firebase deploys are incredibly easy and incredibly fast. So, I mean, basically, it is only pushing to a CDN, and that's it. So it's basically the amount of time it takes to propagate the update to its CDN. So.
Yeah. What is the difference between the free version of your domain or the paid version? What is the difference?
One of them you pay for, and one of them is free.
What features? Feature-wise?
Well, as a paid employee of Firebase and Google, that I am not, I would say that the main difference is the free plan, I believe, you can have up to 50 concurrent connections, and you cannot have a custom domain. So on this one, I paid for the Candle plan, which is $49 a month. Though for doing this presentation, they give me a little money off that. And that allows for 200 concurrent connections. I think the next one, which is like $120 a month, is like 700 concurrent connections. The amount of data that you can store and the amount of data transfer, it's pretty good with all of them, unless you have some incredibly data-heavy app. I don't think you're going to get hit, but the amount of concurrent connections is really what you're paying for. So, anyone? Bueller? No?
Got one in the back.
Andre Mullen, my Canadian friend.
So the authentication, logging in story piece, because I remember last time I tried to build a Firebase Ember app was like la 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 la, everything's working, and then trying to make somebody log in was.
Why do you sing while you type like that? La 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 la. It always distracts me.
Nice way to code.
Okay.
But yeah, it was, if you're not using OAuth or something like that, trying to roll your own authentication through Firebase was, almost impossible.
No, you're wrong. If you want to create a totally custom authentication where you are pulling data in through Firebase that is then getting channeled off to your, non-OAuth, server that's doing it, yeah, that is a huge pain in the ass, I have to admit. And that's what you have to do when you're using Firebase for just data and you don't have the hosting there. If you have the hosting, Firebase hosting, the login and authentication is actually incredibly easy to set up. Twitter is easy to set up. Facebook is easy to set up. I set up the username and the email and password version in about 20 minutes. I mean, including the Ember code. I mean, it's just incredibly fast. But yes, when you're doing it as a third party, it is certainly more complicated because everything is not coming from a domain that sort of exists naturally within Firebase. So.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks all. Thanks, Brendan. Okay, so our next speaker can come up and get plugged in, and can I get my assistants to come up with the drawing, please?
Does anyone want any more swag? There's more swag up here.
We have headbands, hats with lightning bolt in the back, hot sauce. Hot sauce. Okay, you can come up and grab. Actually, what we'll do is on your way out, we'll have a table set up so people can grab stuff on the way out. Okay, so here's the moment that you've been waiting for. What we're going to do here is we're going to do 2 runner-up selections and then the winner, just to build drama. So you're going to be the bag holder. You're going to be the picker. All right. So let's go ahead and we'll have the second runner-up. Just close your eyes and pick one piece of paper from in there. Okay, yep, any piece of paper you feel. Okay.
No, I told you $10 each.
All right, so read it out loud.
Can I read it?
Yep. Gregory, right there. Whoops.
Gregory H. I don't know how to pronounce
Hutchinson. All right. Greg, come on up. As a second runner-up, you get an I Love Ember sticker. Congratulations. Okay, first runner-up. You put it there, yeah. He's out. Gemma picks. Okay.
I don't know.
Zara. As the first runner-up, Zara, congratulations. You receive also an I Love Ember sticker as well as a limited edition Ember grep sticker. Congratulations. Okay, it's time for the last drawing, the winner of the free ticket to Wicked Good Ember. Drum roll, please. Okay, pick anyone you want, pick it out. The drama's building. Okay, an incredibly small folded piece of paper. It's yellow. Timothy Kopenchenko. So I don't have anything to hand you right now, but I'm going to email you and Brian, and you're getting a free ticket to Wicked Good Ember, what you've always wanted. Congratulations, Tim. All right, thanks, girls. Thank you. Give it a hand to our assistants. Thank you, Kiara and Gemma. All right, we're up to our final talk for tonight. I'm really excited about this one. Our next speaker is the CTO of Bustle.com, who was referenced in the previous slide deck. And in addition to what you're going to hear tonight about the Ember work that this gentleman and his team is doing at Bustle, Bustle has also been contributing in a bunch of awesome ways to the Ember community, including the hugest thing that I've seen is sponsoring Tom and Yehuda's work on Fastboot, which has led to the Glimmer and performance improvements, which is just awesome. So thank you for that. And I'm going to hand it over. I don't know which mic you want. Try this one. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Love.
Hi, everybody. So I think I'm going to do more of a show and tell than some deep dive into a bunch of code or anything. But I just wanted to talk about what kind of stuff we're building with Ember at Bustle because we don't get to show it all off. A lot of it is all back, CMS tools and things that our editorial staff uses and our writers. So if you don't already know what Bustle is, we are a content destination. We now have, we're publishing over 200 stories every single day, which, as you can imagine, introduces some interesting problems with, you know, how you organize publishing and editing and writing and getting content into a CMS that is then published and placed all over bustle.com itself. We really try and cover everything, and if you don't believe it, I would encourage you to go to bustle.com and just search for some random thing, and you'll probably find something you're interested in. As far as our scale, we are almost at 30 million uniques a month now, which we've managed to do in, I guess, a little more than 2 years now. We actually launched publicly in June, a year and 8 months ago or something like that. At peak traffic, we actually do as many as 1,500 requests per second, and we've seen, you know, as many as 60,000 people on our website at one time. And as far as, even though we're not a heavy media site, we actually serve between 30 and 40 terabytes of images every month. So it's actually this really fun problem to work on, and it introduces all kinds of interesting, you know, we spend a lot of time caring about how we compress and compile our assets and how we get, you know, the best performance out of a single page application. So as far as what our stack actually looks like, obviously we use Ember a lot. When we started, we were using Rails, and maybe the worst week of working at Bustle was getting the asset pipeline to work with Ember maybe 2 years ago. And we've managed to migrate every one of our Ember applications, which maybe we have a half dozen now, to the Ember CLI, which has introduced this really awesome, I guess, architecture where we can deploy independently of our backend. And that has led us to be able to experiment with things like Grape, and we're actually starting to deploy servers with, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Goliath, but we're doing non-blocking I/O with Ruby, which I didn't think would ever be something I'd say. And it actually works really, really well, and because of the really great DSL and Grape, which I'd encourage anyone to use for building APIs on the back end, it makes it really easy to rapidly develop sort of complex APIs. So, that's a lizard. What I decided to talk to as of this morning and changed a lot of this talk is the backend. We just recently got into maybe alpha phase for our iOS app. So we currently have an iOS app that we launched a year and a half ago, and it's more or less a one-for-one reader of the Bustle website. It lets you just browse content. But we always knew that there was a better strategy for getting people engaged with our mobile application, which is because someone installed it, you can personalize things for them. So we have, you know, we can blog events, we can create sort of what we're calling channels on the fly and promote them to get people, you know, to see the latest stuff going on, for example, the Grammys or something. And we're also really emphasizing that this feed that we're going to launch into our application is this very media-rich thing where you can play videos, you see animated GIFs. We're really emphasizing the third-party content. So it's not just pushing, you know, Bustle content at people. It's really about curating the best possible content for whatever your interests are. And I think at launch we're going to have maybe 50 categories that you get to choose from. We plan on growing that to hundreds as our sort of like editorial capacity grows. So what's really fun about that is, well, how do we get all that content into an application? And we built this, we actually just got it a week ago where we can even show this to anyone, but we're calling it the Max. And this is what our editorial staff for the iOS app is going to use to push content out to people. So I'm going to demo in just a second, but let's see. So this is currently what the max looks like. And this is just some fixture data that we stuck in here. And these would be, for example, the channels that you subscribe to, and you get your, interests all into one single feed, or you can dive into individual topics as you wish through the application. So I'm going to create a new channel. Let's see. That's our CEO, Brian, that I made look like a woman for my background. So I really am just trying to illustrate, like, using Ember applications is really nice, and especially when you're building stuff for people without a technical background, that you can just show them a product like this, and right off the bat, it is something they can use, and it feels really fast, and they don't understand why it feels fast, but they're just really happy about it. So the way this is supposed to work is right now it's limited to you can paste a URL from anywhere, and this embed service goes out and fetches, more or less, what's it called? Open graph? No, open graphs. Is it open graph? What's the generic embed? Yeah. So it fetches embed data from any one of these sites. So if I do it from Bustle, but then we support, as I said, any type of third-party content. This is my cat, Smokey. So it just, used embed to pull this from, it used a service that we have running to pull this into, Ember data, and then sort of upload the assets to our own services, yada, yada, yada. So this morning I thought, well, what would actually be interesting to demo for you guys? And I realized, well, why don't I try and implement this in real time? And it's kind of funny that you had your talk before mine, because what I'm about to do is show how easy it is to just make something real time without, with maybe 20 lines of code. No, I guess what I'll do is I'll start here. This is a Node WebSocket server I wrote this morning, and I don't know how useful it is to step through this line by line or anything, but more or less you create a Node service, you attach a WebSocket server to it, you have a connection event that you handle, and then you bind to receiving a message from that client over the WebSocket. And whenever you receive a message, you iterate over every one of the other clients, and as long as it's not the person who sent it, you send them whatever data they sent up. So it's this maybe 20 lines of code that will handle syncing and sort of fanning out data as it's happening in real time over a WebSocket. So on the Ember side, I did this, which I was really happy to have found in the Ember add-ons library, which I then just had to configure a WebSocket host, which is pointing to the server, the Node server I showed you. And then from there, I used a socket mixin. This is built into the Ember WebSockets add-on. This is more or less like what you would see if you just looked at the documentation right now. And then we do one thing. So ignore the weird Ember data stuff we're doing, but we tell the clients, well, what type of event am I sending up? And then whatever the payload is that we're actually going to pass to all the other clients that are, that have Ember data. So more or less, this is just a raw response that, as you can see here, we're using push payload to our data store to sort of load the channel items into the channel that I showed you guys earlier. And then we stringify it, or we convert it to JSON, and we send it up to the WebSocket server. And I think that's like, on the Ember side, that's 3 or 4 lines of code, most of it just plumbing and configuration. And then on the, I have to receive the message. I have to sort of parse that data again. I'm doing some hacky stuff here because I didn't take the time to really lay all of this out. But more or less, if these conditions are met, I push that into the payload of the other clients. And so now I have this other window open. These, I'm going to refresh it since my laptop went to sleep since I did this. Let's see. So now let's take, this is my cat Ollie. So it pulled this from Instagram's OM. I'm typing really slowly with one hand, but. So I posted that. You should actually see it over here, which you didn't because something broke. Am I in the right channel? Oh, no, I was in the wrong channel. I get to do it again. Hold on, let me make this quicker. Does anyone remember what channel this was just in? Okay. Well. So you should see this fan out to the other client that's existing over here when I post it. And that was less than 30 lines of code to make syncing happen across this entire system that will be used by eventually dozens of editors, and they'll never have to worry about overriding each other or not knowing what else someone has published. And it's some kind of tool that I think most people would normally just ignore and overlook, and just get it done as quickly as possible and worry more about the product that the end user is seeing, which I guess in this case is the iOS app. But because we're using Ember, it's made it incredibly easy to build really great, nice-looking tools, and it's made it really easy to get new engineers in place and just know how to build on top of this and make it better. So obviously this is somewhat of like a limited demo. Oh, I wanted to do one more thing. This is, well, I guess he left. If anyone wants to go to, I had a graph about but this was from another talk, and I had to cross out the part that wasn't applicable. So if anyone goes here, you should be able to publish stuff to the, well, which channel is channel 1? I don't know. I don't know, go to cat attack, and then I think if you paste the URL in there and hit enter and don't stumble across a bug, I should just see stuff coming into the stream. But I haven't seen anything yet. I don't know if anyone's doing it. What's that? I can't hear you. What's everyone asking? Oh, sorry. I would have liked to have like a host name or something, but it's running on my laptop right now. God damn it. Okay. Well, I guess we'll skip that part. The other guides didn't work either, so. Oh yeah, and I guess this is sort of unrelated, but talking about concurrency and stuff because of the other talk, it made me realize when you do have really high scale, I always like looking at this when I'm bored. So this is one of maybe 6 production servers running right now, and this is like what just tailing our production log would look like. And these are just API requests coming in. This is maybe a sixth of them. So scaling Bustle is actually this really fun, challenging thing. And because we get to focus on building APIs, and that's not conflated with building good products, that it's really easy to scale, and it's really easy to build great products that our company relies on, part of our platform as a publisher. So I think I have one more slide or something. Oh yeah, if anyone wants to see the that like 20-line socket server, I put it on GitHub today. And why isn't this going? The last slide's my favorite. Okay, that's all.
Questions for Tyler?
I don't know if you have more than one editor can edit an article at a time, but how do you deal with updates and the black hole of concurrency when you have more than one person editing an article?
So right now in our current system, we have what's called article locking. So we're actually working on using OT, operational transforms. That was actually what I had intended to talk about today, and I couldn't get it working. And so I was working really late trying to hack that together and couldn't actually connect it to our WYSIWYG. Share.js is in this terrible state as a project as they're switching from 0.6 to 0.7. So I gave it a shot, and then I actually think the best library out there is maybe ot.js, which is much lower level and sort of forces you to implement any of the binding to anything in the DOM or whatever. But I would check that out. It's more of like a raw implementation of OT.
OT, for those of you who don't know, is operational transforms. Other questions for Tyler?
Thanks. When you guys are in development, what do you use to make sure that you have the WebSockets server spin up and the Ember app spin up and maybe like the publisher app, and make sure you have like a good dev environment?
I don't know. Do you have any ideas about that?
Foreman?
Yeah, we usually we point everything to staging that isn't something that a developer is gonna be setting up or starting every day. That seems to work pretty well. We've tried Foreman, but just between development environments because we haven't actually gone into something where we're using a VM. There's a little bit too much manual setup for it to be this reliable thing for anyone to use.
Anybody else have a good answer to that question? We have we have an Apple script that automates iTerm, spin up a bunch of stuff, and then we have a tmuxinator config that's similar for tmux. Cool. Any other questions for Tyler?
Are you trying to induce epilepsy?
Yeah, this actually used to be a 404 page, and they made me take it down.
I'm getting nauseous right now. I can't take my eyes off it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. All right, let's give a round of applause for Tyler.
Thank you.
All right, so we have come to the end of the formal proceedings for the evening. And if you've been to Ember NYC before, you know what that means. It means it's time to head to the after party. All right, so we had some trouble with this place last month. We're going to try it again. Crooked knife. If anybody would like to volunteer to help coordinate the after party, we're accepting pull requests. All right, this place is Crooked Knife 14. It is 232 West 14th Street. There. I think it's between 7th and 8th. And so hopefully there will be an empty room in the back that we can hang in. So thank you all for coming out. I hope to see you next month. If you'd like to speak, get in touch. Also, Brendan O'Hara, who gave the talk earlier tonight up front, asked me to mention that he is rolling off of a contract and available for Ember Consulting. So if you're interested in an Ember consultant, talk to Brendan. And that's all she wrote for tonight. Thanks, everybody.